Have you noticed that the biggest enemy of your fluency is not lack of vocabulary and not complicated grammar, but the silence you put on yourself? It sounds strange, but it's true. The more you wait to feel ready, the less ready you actually get. Fear does not disappear with time, it only learns how to control you. And while this happens, English stays in your head but never comes out of your voice. Here's the hard truth. There is no fluency without mistakes and no confidence before action. Your brain needs a push to speak, even when you feel stuck. That's where the magic starts, because the habit of expression is not born from perfect courage, but from daily practice, even the smallest one. One sentence, one word, even a simple yes can begin to break the cycle of fear. So if you feel stuck, remember this. The way is not to wait until everything feels clear, but to decide to push your brain to act now. And if you stay with me until the end of this video, you'll see why this fear may actually be your best chance to grow, and how every block can turn into fuel for your fluency. The invisible weight of fear. Sometimes we carry a fear we can't even explain. Maybe you have felt that cold feeling in your stomach just thinking about opening your mouth to say a sentence in English, like everyone would stop and judge every word. This weight is not because you can't learn. It's your brain trying to protect you from a new and uncomfortable situation. But the more we let this fear stay quiet, the bigger it grows, like a shadow guiding our choices without us even noticing. The interesting part is, when you give this fear a name, it starts to lose power. It sounds simple, but telling yourself, what I feel is just fear, not inability, already changes how you see the moment. I went through this too, and when I stopped blaming myself for freezing during my first attempts, I realized the problem was not lack of intelligence, but a natural reflex. The brain builds this automatic block because it thinks it's protecting us. And here's the key. If this weight is never faced, it turns into a permanent block. Every time you avoid speaking, your brain thinks it's right to hold you back. It's like reinforcing the message, it's dangerous, better stay quiet. The good news is that when you face it, even in a small way, the barrier starts to break. And that's when something important happens. Your brain begins to understand the language only when it's put into use. The brain responds to use, not to thinking. Have you ever studied for hours, writing down new words, but when it's time to speak, everything disappears? That's because the brain doesn't work only with stored information. It needs to feel that the language is useful, that it's being used for real. Reading and listening are important, but they gain power only when you actually say the words out loud. It's like your brain only prioritizes what seems necessary for your daily survival. That's why repeating sentences out loud, even the very simple ones, makes a huge difference. If you learn to say, "How are you?" don't leave it in the notebook. Say it to yourself, repeat it many times, simulate a short conversation. I noticed that when I started using basic expressions in small situations like ordering coffee or greeting someone, my confidence grew almost without me noticing. The secret is to show your brain that it's not just theory, but practice that needs to be remembered. The more you speak, the more the brain understands, okay, this is important, I must reinforce these connections. It doesn't matter if your pronunciation is strange or if the sentence isn't perfect. What matters is repetition. That's where fluency is truly built, because memory grows stronger through use, not through intention. And when you understand this, even the feeling of being blocked gets a new meaning. It's no longer a failure, but an essential part of your training. Discomfort is not a mistake. It's training. When you freeze while trying to speak English, it doesn't mean you failed. That discomfort is the clearest sign that your brain is being pushed out of its comfort zone. It resists. It pulls you back to the safe silence. But exactly in that moment of tension is where learning happens, because there is no growth without pressure. What looks like an error is really an exercise. Every long pause, every word stuck in your throat, every half sentence is part of an invisible workout that makes your brain faster. It's like each frustration is proof that you are opening a new path. Running away from this feeling only reinforces the old routine. Facing it is what transforms you. So don't rush to be perfect. If you feel discomfort, it means you're practicing for real. Accepting the sensation as part of the process changes everything. With time, what feels like a wall today will become just another natural step. And it's this daily consistency, facing discomfort again and again, that prepares you for the next level. Discovering the power of one small habit repeated every single day. The value of one daily step. We usually believe we need big jumps to improve, but in reality, what transforms us is consistency. Saying one sentence out loud every day already teaches your brain to see English as part of your routine. It doesn't matter if it's simple, like good morning or I'm learning. The impact comes from the habit, not the size of the step. This small action keeps you moving forward without feeling too heavy. When you build this short routine, your brain starts to understand that it's regular and deserves space. Think about any other habit. If you read one page of a book every day, soon you finish the whole book. The same is true here. One single sentence repeated with intention every day is worth more than a long study session you forget the next week. This process builds confidence slowly. Today you say one sentence, tomorrow two, then a small answer in a real conversation. Without noticing, what began as a detail becomes a strong foundation. And that's when silent discipline shows its value. In the end, it's not only about English, but about your daily decision not to hide behind silence. It's in this choice that you find the freedom to truly express yourself. The choice that sets you free. At some point, everything comes down to a simple decision. Do you want to stay in the comfortable silence or risk speaking, even if you're afraid? This choice doesn't depend on waking up one day with perfect courage, but on saying yes to the present moment. That yes opens the door for English to stop being something only studied and start being something lived. Freedom begins when you accept vulnerability. Every time you choose to speak, even without certainty, you show your brain that you don't need confidence first to act. Action creates confidence, not the other way around. The more you repeat this choice, the lighter the path becomes. The feeling of being blocked turns into the feeling of progress, because you're no longer a prisoner of waiting. This is the real key, the daily choice to express yourself. It's not about saying a lot or impressing others, but about not staying silent in front of fear. When you understand that fluency is not a final destination, but a process built on these small decisions, you see that every daily yes is a step to freedom. From here, we can connect everything. How your brain can be pushed to speak, even when fear still feels stronger. Fluency is identity, not just technique. With time, you'll see that speaking English is not only about making correct sentences, it's about becoming a new version of yourself, someone who expresses in another language without asking permission from fear. Fluency stops being just a skill outside of you and starts being part of who you are. This moment doesn't come suddenly, but after many small daily yeses. The secret is to see that every word you say is a brick in building this identity. When you introduce yourself in English, when you risk a short answer, when you allow mistakes and keep going, you send a clear message to your brain. This is part of me. From there, It's no longer about memorizing phrases or repeating rules, but about seeing yourself as someone who truly belongs to this language. And the most powerful part is that this transformation begins quietly, without noise. One day you notice you don't think twice before speaking because the words come naturally. That's true freedom, when the foreign language stops being a challenge and becomes part of your identity. And that's the point that ties everything together. The first fear, the daily practice, the accepted discomfort, and the decision not to stay silent. Now that you understand how fear works, how the brain reacts to real use, and why discomfort is part of training, the question is simple. What will you do with this today? Will you keep waiting to feel ready? Or will you risk taking at least one step, even if small, even if imperfect? Because the difference between those who stay stuck and those who grow is exactly this daily decision. Stop for a moment and think. What simple sentence can you say out loud right now? Not tomorrow, not when you have time, but today. The choice may look small, but it's the one that opens the way to all the others. If you don't challenge yourself now, you'll keep repeating the same cycle of silence. Change only happens when you force your brain to see speaking as a priority. So I ask you, will you keep English only inside your head, or will you free yourself and start using your voice? If this message made sense to you, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. That way, you won't miss any content that helps you turn fear into confidence and silence into fluency. The next step is yours to take.